Hello everyone and welcome to this tutorial. Thanks so much for watching those last couple tutorials. If you haven't, you can check them out on my channel. They're a little bit longer, and I've noticed that when I talk and model at the same time, my workflow slows down significantly. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and shorten these things up to maybe about 10 minutes and maybe break everything out into a couple different parts if need be. So today we are going to be modeling the desk that I sit at. It's just your standard, kind of IKEA particle board desk, nothing too fancy, but it's a great beginner tutorial. And today, instead of being in Maya, we're going to be in Blender. So let's get started. So here I am in Blender. Again, if you want, let me turn on my screencast keys here. If you want to, what am I trying to say? Let me collect my thoughts here. If you want a beginner tutorial on how to navigate in Blender and different stuff, then maybe I can make that at a later date, or there are tons of really good ones on YouTube. We're focused mainly on modeling techniques in these tutorials. And so as such, I'm not going to be going about how to trackball rotate around your view around an object and things like that. I will be specifying what keys I hit, and there's the screencast key logger down there, and so you can see that as well. Okay, so let's begin. I'm just going to double hit A, and to make sure everything's selected, and X and delete. I'm going to go 1 for my front view and 5 for orthographic. Shift A, mesh, let's do a cube. Yeah, let's do a cube. Okay, let's go ahead and scale this in the X. It's already 1. I believe my desk, as I look at it here, I'm gonna say it's like 1.3 meters. So I'm going to type in X to scale it just in the X axis, and then 130, because I'm saying that every Blender unit here is 1 centimeter. Okay, now let's scale it in the Y, S, and then Y, and I'm going to say that it's going to be 50 centimeters wide, half a meter. Okay, oh, that looks pretty good. And then, yeah, 1 centimeter, that's about right. Okay, there you go. Now, while we've got this here, I'm just going to tab into edit mode, and I'm just going to hit Control B for bevel. And as you can see, that does not work well. So I'm going to hit Control Z, and then I'm going to hit Control R and add in an edge loop. I click, and then I hit the space bar to, or I right mouse button click to solidify that action. And I'm going to do the same in this axis as well. And then I'm going to go Z for wireframe mode, and I'm going to select all these, hit X and faces. And then I'm going to go Control R, and I'm going to add some edge loops here. The reason I'm doing this, Blender's bevel system is not something that I really enjoy. It actually gives me a lot of problems, because if you have a big open space and then you have a smaller space, it bevels relative to the large and the small, instead of just giving you a 90 or a 45 degree bevel. So now with this, I can hit Control B, and I can bevel. There. We need to go to width. Nope. I'm sorry, percent. And then drag that up. There we go. And add something like that. Now if I select everything, go into UV shading, and I hit smooth, I can just smooth out that preview. Now that we have this 1/4 of our table, I can come over here into our modifiers tab. Give myself some more screen space. And I will hit mirror in the Y, so it'll go X first and then Y. Or conversely, I could go Y first and then X. But anyway, now whatever I do to this 1/4, if I need to go back and change that, will echo in eternity, as Gladiator says. Alright, let's do the bottom of the desk. So I'm going to hit A to deselect, Shift A for my add menu, and I'm going to add another cube. And then as I look at the desk here, I'm going to say it's about 1 meter tall, so scale in the Z axis 100. And I'm just going to move this down. That is too tall. So scale in the Z axis, let's say 70. Okay, now I'm going to hit Z and tab into edit mode, and I'm going to grab this top face and hit Shift S and say cursor to selected. And then I'm going to tab back into object mode and hit Control Alt Shift C, and then do origin to 3D cursor. And I'm doing this because I want to be able to snap to my vertex, and I want the closest, and I'm going to bring this down, and I'm going to center. I'm going to snap this down here to the bottom, just like that. Okay, so now I want to scale it out to cover this. So I'm going to hit S and X, and I'm going to scale it. See, we did 130, so I'm going to scale it 120. I'm going to do scale X 125. Better. And now scale Y, this was 50, so let's do 45. Hit 5 to go into perspective view. That doesn't look too bad. Okay. Now let's start cutting this thing up. So tab. First thing is, in the center of the desk, there's a hole where you're supposed to put your legs and stuff. On this side of the desk, on the left hand side, as you look at it, there's a place for your computer and a drawer, and the right hand side is drawers. So I'm looking at the time here. We've been going for almost like maybe 7 or 8 minutes, so let's see if we can finish this. So I'm gonna put an edge loop, scroll wheel up once in order to give myself 2 edge loops, and then click and enter. Now I'm going to scale S and X. I'm going to scale this out to about there. And then the next thing I'm going to do is hit Z, select the faces, and I'm going to select all these faces, and X and faces. Delete those faces. Tab. Okay. And then I'm just going to hit edge mode and select these two and hit F for face and F for face. Okay. Now let's work on the hole here. So first thing I'm going to do is hit Control R, and I'm going to come up and add in, that'll be the drawer right there in a second. And then right here, I'm going to grab this front face and this back face, and I'm going to hit I for inset, and it's acting kind of funky because I have my snapping turned on, but that's okay. For our thickness, we can say offset relative, and then turn off offset even. No, you want offset even. Yeah. I think we want that to be 0.01. No, 0.02. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay. And then I'm just going to hit X and delete the faces. Then I'm also going to select these faces down here and X and delete them. And now I'm going to grab these vertices, all 4 of them, and I'm going to turn on my snapping, and I'm going to snap those puppies down here to the bottom. Scale Z. Yeah, just make sure they're all scaled properly. And then let's close this up. Or again, just select it, hit F for face, and select, and F for face, and select, and F for face. Okay, now I'm going to tab and hit Control D to duplicate, and then tab back into edit mode. And what this is going to do is now I have a duplicate of my object right here. And I'm going to use that duplicate to so that I don't have to worry about placing things. That's a little trick that I like to do. So I've just added 2 edge loops, and now I'm going to come here and I'm going to add a face between them, and then I'm going to extrude by hitting E and Z in the Z axis, and I'm just going to extrude that down in the front. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add an edge loop across here, right about there. Okay, now with all of that selected, oh, and then I can hit E and just extrude that back in just a smidgen. It's all these little details that really make a model feel realistic. It's actually like the big details, like the head, the face, and stuff of a human or something like that. They're all important for sure, but it's the little details that actually tell a human what is real and what isn't. And that's why I like to use reality as my basis for modeling, if at all possible, because it helps me to view things in a realistic light. Okay, now I can just select everything, hit L to select all of it. Once I've selected everything around my computer base here, and then I deleted all the faces that touched it, and then I hit L and hit X and faces, and here L, X, and faces. And then I'm just going to select that, hit L, and then we're going to hit recalculate. Well, apparently that didn't work like I thought it would, like I thought it did. Whoops. Okay. So Shift D. There you go. Now this one. Let me fix this geometry real quick. So I ended up messing up there. Okay, I'm just going to select all these and hit X and faces, and then I'm going to grab all of these and snap them down. And just for good measure, I'll add a face to the bottom. Okay, we're back to where we started. Now I can go to this one. Z, face, grab that, and then hit Control I and X, faces, A, recalculate, Z, tab into object mode. Okay, there we go. Much better. Now next thing, let's do all the drawers. We're going to do all the drawers at once. As I'm looking, there's the 2 top drawers are kind of thin, and then the 2 bottom drawers are thicker. So I just hit Control J. I shift selected both of these and hit Control J in order to join them together. So I'm going to hit Control R, and I'm going to grab this and snap it. So I have that right there, and then Control R again. Okay. Now I'm going to select all of these edges. Turn on my Chinese keyboard there. And I'm going to hit Control B for bevel, and I'm just going to bevel them out 1 and turn those segments off. What that's going to do is just give me a little space. And now I'm going to select all of these faces and extrude them out 1, 2, we'll do 2. Okay, and then I'm going to hit Control and plus, and then I'm going to hit P and separate selection. So I've separated out my drawers, and then I'm going to go to M and move my desk base to this layer. And now that I have that, I'm gonna tab into edit mode and Alt right click in order to do a ring select, and then I'm gonna say Alt E, edges only. Okay, I'm missing something here. Should be able to extrude these in. Oh, you know what? I'm just gonna select them all, add a face. And now, once I select all these faces, I can do my inset, which I believe last time we said was 0.02 was a good. And then I'm going to hit 3 to go to my side view, 5 for orthographic, and Z. And then I'm just going to extrude these back. And just like that. Okay. Now again, I'm just going to hit Shift D to duplicate, and I'm going to move my duplicated to the next layer. And I'm going to tab, and I'm going to, all of these, I'm just going to hit Control plus to select it, to select one layer of vertices up, Control I to invert my selection, X, and faces. So now I have these, are the insides of my drawers, and I can just select the top because the drawers doesn't have a top on it, and X and faces. And then while I have all of this here, I can just add a solidify modifier, and we can bring the thickness in, say -0.02. Okay. And now I can move that back to my top layer, and as you can see, if I grab all this and pull it out, we have drawers without too much extra work. The only thing that's left to do, I'm going to move these to this layer, oops, wrong layer, is to just add faces here. Okay, and I'm going to move everything back. Alright, so this is pretty close. Last but not least, we have our center keyboard drawer here. So let me just, again, duplicate this, move it to another layer. And then I'm going to add, right there at the top, I'm going to add this edge loop ring, and then Shift Alt click to do, oh man, we've gone over, we're at 17 minutes. Okay, I'll be quick. Control B, add just a little bit amount, say 7. And now we can just select these two and hit F. Oh, actually delete X faces, and then we can add those. Select the top and the bottom, Control I, oop, X and faces, and then let's just and then the last but not least, grab this in the front, extrude it just a little bit, two, and then extrude this in the Z-axis, we'll say 4, and extrude this in Z-axis down 2, oops, extrude -2. Okay, so let's move that here. Alright, so this is our desk. Let's save it. Tutorials, new folder, tutorial for desk, and then scenes and desk dot underscore 00. I'm sorry, my typing is very poor today. Save. Alright you guys, that's it for today. I'm sorry I went a little over my 10-minute mark, but I'm really working on it. In the next tutorial we'll probably add some handles and do some finishing touches to this model, and then from there we'll probably texture it so that you have a finished asset when you're done. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you next time.